Well, he's done it though because he's got 2 orders in his term. He didn't lose either way.
Oh, yeah, for him, yes, 100%. Yeah, that's why he.
But the others don't very had 25
5
years.
years, yeah. They've been all time, so you know, how long you want to stay.
When we're down there, it might be the full price is going to be there as well. I guess it will take you by his office.
Yeah, lovely.
You'd really enjoy meeting him. He's
Yeah,
a,
love it.
he's a great guy. Now, what did I do with all my stuff?
Oh, hopefully I didn't take it.
Well, I have 8 tickets or 10 tickets or something.
You buy tickets for?
Sundance on the Square. I got my tickets tonight.
Pretty good.
I'm not sure what I've done with them already. I've already lost them. Stacy. It is 5. There we go. It's 5:30. We're going to call this city council into session, and it is not Pacific time like the clock says. It is Central time. So, first thing we'll do is Gerald Cook has agreed to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. We have a pretty full agenda for tonight, including an executive session, so let's get going. First item is acknowledging the Bosque Adventure Recognition events, item 1 on the regular, and I have something here that Meta talked to me about this, about, what? Okay. I apologize. That's what I get for looking up for my agenda. Pastor Jim McGraw from Grace Fellowship Church. We probably have had that before we get started, so in case we make a mistake, right? There you go. All right, thanks, Rick.
Now you can pray for forgiveness.
Yeah, pray for my forgiveness.
Yeah. It's an honor to be here. Lord Jesus, you taught your disciples to pray that we need to address our Heavenly Father and make him holy in our heart, and ask that heaven would come, that his will would be done. We're told in the Scripture that your will, Heavenly Father, is good, it's perfect, it's well-pleasing in every way. And your Apostle Paul prayed that we would be filled with the knowledge of your will, that we would have all spiritual wisdom and understanding, that we could walk worthy of you, Lord Jesus, that we could please you in every way, and that we could be fruitful in everything that we do. And so that's our prayer this evening, Heavenly Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come. Your will be done right here in this council this evening. It is a good, it is pleasing, it is a perfect will. It's what we want. It's what we long for more than we know. So we ask that you would fill us with the knowledge of that will, that we would be granted spiritual wisdom and understanding in how your will can be manifested here in this council and in this city, that we could walk worthy of you, Lord Jesus, that you would be pleased with us as a city and as a council in every way, and that we would be fruitful in everything that we do, because we are seeking to honor you, to honor your name, and to glorify you in every way. And this is our prayer. And we pray it in the strong name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. Amen.
Amen. For those who don't know, Brother DeGraw is going to be going to Southeast Asia for 8 months and is being sponsored by the local ministerial alliance. Yes. So we appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate you coming here tonight. Okay, first item is, if everybody that knows Meta Collier knows that you do exactly what she tells you to do. And she asked me the other day if we'd be willing to acknowledge this
event tonight, these two young children. So let me just read to you what she's prepared. And I'm just going to read it. Don't have to read it, but I'm going to read the whole thing because it is well written. The Bosque River Trail Corridor Committee, Stephenville ISD, Charleston State University, and the City of Stephenville, along with the Optimist Club, Wrights Ice, Lone Star Ag, F&M Bank, HEB, Stephenville Historical Museum Board, and the A-Plus Porta-Cans, all are partnering together to inspire and educate the Hook Elementary 4th grade students in a one-of-a-kind experience along with the beautiful Bosque River Trail. The Charlton College of Liberal and Fine Arts, College of Education, College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, the College of Science and Technology will bring these students to lead this event and provide an amazing experience. Stations will be located along the Bosque River Trail and will highlight the event with the environment, with art, sustainable practices, nature, history, museum, music, and the physical health emphasis. One of the core values for the Stephenville ISD is relationships. Building relationships across the community with Charlton, the Bosque River Corridor Committee, the City of Stephenville, along with all the other organizations, shows our Stephenville ISD 4th graders what it means to be part of this great city. We'd like to make a special recognition tonight of two 4th grade students, Caleb Jones. Why don't you come up here, Caleb, to the front, and from Miss Kimbrough's class, and Libby Post, also over here. Libby, come on up here to the front, from Miss Moore's class, who designed shirts this year for this year's amazing event. And thanks to all the 4th graders who submitted pictures for the T-shirt contest. Let's acknowledge these people. From us for doing your hard work. Thank you so much for what you did. You want to take some pictures too, I'm sure. Got teachers and mamas here. Oh, got a bunch of pictures. Come on, get up in here. This is the fun part.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you again. Appreciate your hard work. Thank you for your help. And here above it, the drawing to the pictures of their T-shirts. Y'all see. Thank you again. Thank you, Meta. Again, if Meta tells you to do something, everybody just need to go ahead and do it. Okay, next item is citizens general discussion. I have one person who'd like to visit with us, and it's Gene Edwards. Gene, you'll state your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Jean Edwards, and my address is 838 North Paddock. Thank you for giving me a few minutes. I hope this will be not to take up too much of your time. I hope this will be my last time that I will take up your time. I would like to say to you, please, that I have about 8 reasons here. It's not very long to tell you that why repealing the ordinance that I spoken to you about before would be wise and fair. Number 1 is sentence served, sentence served. Number 2, no double jeopardy. That means, of course, specifically that one can't be tried twice for the same crime. But by interpretation, I think you could interpret it somewhat to mean that no criminal punishment and civil punishment. 3rd, discriminatory treatment of a particular group of ex-convicts. No lifetime housing restrictions for other people convicted of serious crimes. For example, murder, rape, assault and battery, kidnapping. I'm not an expert on any of this, but this is just a few examples. Robbery, theft, grand theft auto, swindle scams, any of which could be repeated. That's in response to the idea of recidivism, you know. And it defeats the purpose of rehabilitation, upon which much money has been spent, in that it keeps a man from living at home and instead often causes him to be homeless, living on the street or in shelters or group homes where there may be little or no interest in him or support for him. 5, unnecessary financial hardship for families who want to help each other and not have the impossible task of trying to keep up 2 households. 6, discrepancies in enforcement, which just happened that way from city to city, problems of measurements with yardstick as opposed to a computer, disagreements between city officers and parole officers. 7, I didn't really want to say this, and I will say it because I really don't want to take up any more of your time by coming up. You've given me about 3 times you let me speak to you. Reports, comma, correct or incorrect, that I have heard of other interracial cases like this, which had very bad outcomes for families, such as forced out of their homes, houses taken for taxes, the whole family finally dead. And as you know, I haven't said anything very, very bad in the other 2 or 3 times that I've come and spoken to you, but. And the last one I wanted to say, lastly, this particular makes sense to me, the embarrassment and embarrassing and offensive label itself, one might consider the dangerous times and places where accusations seem to be de facto convictions.
Ms. Edwards, your time is up.
Ma'am?
Your 3 minutes are up.
Go ahead and finish your sentence, ma'am.
One might also consider the states of vulgar and abusive sexual language, which is not often punished at all by law, but which, if children are subjected to it, may leave them mistreated and disturbed. Oh, thank you. Like I said, sentence served is punishment enough is what I'm asking you to consider.
Ms. Edwards,
Thank
you came to us before and gave us a description. I think this is from you had an engineer or someone who did a view here, and one of the things that yours says is that your house is within 822 feet of a school, and that the ordinance is 1,000 feet. And so I had asked the staff, and they did a similar GIS review, and they have 1 foot difference. And so your house is 823 feet from a school district, which within our zoning ordinance prevents your husband from being able to live there. And so what I've asked Brady Pendleton, who is our chair of our Public Safety Committee, to review the ordinance, and he'll have a committee hearing on it and discuss it at a later date. But right now, what you'd asked last time was that, that the distance was not, that you were outside the distance measure and your husband is not. That house is within 822 feet. Okay, if you just give that to Stacy, she'll make sure that she gets to everybody. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. The way the ordinance is written, though, it's by line of sight. It's the way the crow flies. And so within the ordinance right now, we'd have to take a change of ordinance to make a variance for that. Well, if you'll give that to Stacy, then I'll turn that over to the Public Safety Committee and let them address that. Thank you, ma'am. Next item is Planning and Zoning Commission. I guess that's Karen. You want to make the presentation, and we'll go into public hearing.
Good evening. So case number AS 2019-002, abandoning a 12-foot alley located in Block 15 of the City Edition of the City of Stephenville, Erath County. Planning and Zoning met on September 18, 2019, and made a motion to recommend approving the closing of the 12-foot alley to council with a unanimous vote.
Any questions?
Karen, who owns the property? Who currently owns the property?
The county owns the parking lot and the Long Hotel.
So they are on the property that is contiguous on both sides of that alleyway.
Correct.
Okay, and the city at this point owns the alleyway itself, which separates those 2 parcels.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
One question that came up during P&Z, if we abandon this alley, then we put it up for sale to these individuals. We'll put it up for sale to whoever wants to buy,
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
The letters that were sent out, no responses either way?
No. On this one, we sent out 24 letters, and we received no for or nothing against.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hearing no more questions, we'll enter into a public hearing. Is there anybody who would like to come and speak in favor of the request? Seeing none, does anybody like to come up and speak in opposition to the request? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll allow someone to make a motion for approval or not approval or modifying the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance 2019-0-37 as presented.
Second.
Mark makes the motion and Carla seconds it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign opposed. Motion passes. All right, thank you very much. Next item is case number SV 2019-004. Karen?
Applicant Elk Ridge Baptist Church is requesting a subdivision waiver from section 155.6.11A. It is a sidewalk requirement to be constructed at 1515 South Alexander Road, being Lot 1, Block 1 of the Elk Ridge Baptist Church addition to the City of Stephenville, Erath County. Planning and Zoning met on September 18, 2019, and make a recommendation to approve the sidewalk waiver request to council with a vote of 8 for and 2 against.
Okay, any questions for Karen? Okay, hearing none, we'll enter a public hearing. We have 2 people who would like to come testify, Daniel McCabe and Andy Hansen. Will you come up and testify for us?
Thank you. Yes, my name is Daniel McCabe. I'm the pastor of Elk Ridge Baptist Church. I do live here in the city of Stephenville. And with regard to the sidewalks, we'd like to ask a waiver of the city ordinance based upon the fact that there are no sidewalks, for one, on either side of the road anywhere between the south loop all the way to the city limits, which is a little bit further south on Alexander Road, past even Elk Ridge Estates, the back end of Elk Ridge Estates. And as far as I know, there are no sidewalks that are planned or expected to be there in the future. There is virtually no pedestrian traffic either by foot or by bicycle along that entire stretch there from the church property to South Loop. I live just south of there in Elk Ridge Estates, travel that every day, and virtually never see any pedestrian traffic at all. There are no stores, there are no government agencies, there are no parks or schools of any type for people to be walking along there. And I think the fact that you don't see any pedestrian traffic there as well, in large part, is that it's fairly sparse, but also I think it suggests too that there's safety concerns of people walking alongside the road there. In fact, parents have expressed concern, some who live in Elk Ridge Estates, that it is a safety issue. They're concerned about if we were to be required to put sidewalks there, they think that it might even be a magnet for those children who are on our property who might be drawn towards the sidewalk and want to explore it. So we are concerned about that. And of course, on the north side of our property and on the south side of our property, it's ranch property, and so there's no connection there. As far as I know, the owner has no intention of building on that property as well. So for those reasons, we're asking for a waiver for the sidewalks ordinance.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. McCabe? Thank you, sir. Andy?
My name is Andy Hansen. I appreciate you guys doing what you're doing. I know it's a volunteer job for many of you. I have the land. I represent EMH Cattle Company. We've got the land to the west and the south of Elk Ridge Baptist Church. I feel like the site plan, I'm in favor of the waiver. The site plan that the church has developed, and I'm also a member and an elder at the church, that the site plan that they've developed, and I think you guys have copies of that, adheres to the spirit of the ordinance, because on the site, this 4.5 acre site, there are sidewalks, there are curbs, there are gutters within that, and the church is actually south facing. It's not facing Alexander Road. Back when we built Elk Ridge Estates, this goes back about 12 years ago, there was a curb and gutter ordinance at that time, but there was no contemplation of putting curb and gutters on 914 for Elk Ridge Estates or for Alexander Ridge when that went in. So I think the idea of the curb and gutter is kind of a moot point. We don't have any intention of developing that property to the south, so sidewalks would not be connected anytime soon. So thank you.
Any questions for Andy? Thank you, sir. Does anybody else like to come and speak in support of the request? Hearing none, does anybody like to speak in opposition to the request? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and ask if there is a motion someone would like to have.
Well, before we do that, could I ask one question?
Absolutely.
So this, I think, is a kind of a special case. It's the TxDOT controlled roads, Corner Market 914. And to me, I think some of the concern here is well-founded. You gentlemen have stated it. But I believe that, again, I hate doing waivers. The rules are the rules, and I usually don't vote in favor of them. But this is an instance where there's more to it than just a piece in town. So I would like to suggest that we take a look at the subdivision ordinance, particularly sidewalks and stuff where they front the state roads, TxDOT roads, state TxDOT controlled roads. I think that's a change that needs to be made
Okay.
on this. So I would hope that we could.
Ready to take that on committee?
We can talk about, yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other comments, questions?
I have a question
Yes, sir.
for Karen, if I might. Karen, does the ordinance that we have in place now apply to all properties that are inside the city limits regardless of road frontage or zoning, et cetera?
Yes, sir.
And the purpose of that is?
For the sidewalks, is to make it a walkable city. So you've got to start somewhere, and that was the intent of the ordinance.
And I know sometimes it looks like a patchwork because you have one here and then you skip a spot and then you have another one. But the
Yes, sir.
intention, I think, in the beginning was that these all be connected, and that would help some with that pedestrian traffic. Instead of having to walk along the edge of the pavement, they would have a safe place to walk.
That's correct.
That was out of the traffic flow and away from the traffic flow in a way that would make it safer for them and for the vehicular traffic as well, I believe.
That's correct. And I believe last year, end of last year, first of last year, or first of this year, that's where the sidewalk and curb and gutter program, the shared program, came into place to kind of help with some of the waivers that were coming at us.
Well, and Mark's suggestion may be a good one. Perhaps we need to reconsider the ordinance. But at this point, with the ordinance in place, I have a difficult time not following the ordinance, even though this may be a special circumstance. I think almost anybody that came could, for whatever reason, present a special circumstance for their own property.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, in this case, it may not be, but sometimes that special circumstance may be monetary. And that bothers me sometimes as well. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments?
I'm just going to rebut that just for 1 second, sir.
Okay.
So I think my issue with this is that TxDOT has engineered the drainage off of that road. And if we come in and throw sidewalks and curb and gutter in there, what are we doing to the drainage that exists for that roadway? Are we degrading that in some way? That's my concern, specifically with the TxDOT controlled roads. Are we going to, by forcing them to do something, are we going to, make a more hazardous situation that exists now, just because we've messed with the stormwater?
I understand your concern, and it's valid, but I think that what we're asking for is going to be outside the road right-of-way, far enough that it's not going to interfere with their drainage or their maintenance of that drainage, and Karen might could help me on the location of that. And that's one thing that we need a better map, to be honest with you, that would show some of those. What is the road right-of-way there? Do you know?
I do. I talked to TxDOT today, and so their right-of-way is 50 feet from the center line. So roughly 30 to 35 feet of bar ditch.
Okay.
And then your curb and gutter and sidewalk would start from there.
So it would be outside of that area that their bar ditch would be in their drainage issue.
Correct.
Their drainage control or drainage flow, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
Anybody else? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the waiver of case number SV 2019-004.
Or a second?
Second.
Brady makes a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed.
No.
Okay, one vote against. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, public hearing, case number SV 2019-005.
Applicant Elk Ridge Baptist, Daniel McKay, pastor, is requesting a subdivision waiver for section 155.6.04.M1 curb and gutter requirement to be constructed at 1515 South Alexander Road. being Lot 1, Block 1 of the Elk Ridge Baptist Church addition to the City of Stephenville. Planning and Zoning met on September 18, 2019, and made a motion to recommend approving the curb and gutter waiver request with a unanimous vote.
Any questions for Karen? Here now, we'll go into public hearing. If anybody like to come and speak in favor of the request?
Yes, sir.
State your name again, if you would.
Again, I'm Pastor Daniel McKay with Elk Ridge Baptist. Some of what I was going to say has already really been said or implied in part, but again, you have the site plan there in front of you. You can see that our church is actually facing south, not towards the road. And a stormwater detention plan has been submitted to the city, and the stormwater detention would actually, of course, divert the water away from the road. It would not be flowing onto Alexander Road. Also, TxDOT has approved already our driveway entrance there on Alexander Farm Road 914. You can see perhaps from the curb and gutters from the site plan there provided for you that they would be set back approximately 35 feet into the grass beyond the bar ditch. From our point, making it superfluous, since our building would likewise be set back another 100 feet from the edge of the driveway, or the roadway rather. And again, no curbs or gutters exist on either side of Alexander, all the way from the south loop all the way to Stephenville's city limits. Again, there's not expected to be any that I know of. And the current stormwater drainage bar ditch currently handles the water all along the road there. And our drainage plan drains our stormwater into an engineered drainage facility. So, thank you.
Any question, Mr. McKay?
So your stormwater is gonna exit the east end of your property, is that the way it's gonna play?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to come and speak in favor of the request? Please state your name.
Andy Hansen. Just want to paint a picture for you. You've got the Blacktop County road, or state road here. You've got 35 feet of grass, then our curb. Okay? That would be a poster child for not having a good ordinance in this situation, Mr. Dix. It just would be. We're doing a development on Highway 6 right now, and TxDOT is putting in the curb, the gutter, and the sidewalk when they redo the road. So some of this may just be patience on the city council's part, and TxDOT may take care of it when they do their expansions.
Be sure to put in your request for us.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak in favor? Anybody want to speak in opposition to the request? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve waiver SV 2019-005.
Second. Brandon makes a motion and Gerald seconds it. Any further discussion?
Mayor, I think I could make the same points in this case as I did the first one, but I fear they'll fall on deaf ears again as they did in the first one. If we need to review the ordinance, let's review the ordinance, but to continue to issue waivers is a mistake. It does not meet the criteria for a waiver, neither did the other one, because there is no undue hardship. It's a matter of aesthetics in their eye. That does not create the necessity, nor does it give them the right for a waiver.
Okay, that your item about the ordinance, Stacy's going to get with Brandon and get that scheduled for a committee hearing to review that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed. We have a motion, a second. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign opposed.
No.
We have one no vote. Motion passes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Karen. Tourism and Visitors Bureau Committee. Turn it over to Ms. Trussell.
Okay, we had 2 requests for hot funds this month that came out of committee, and for some reason it's not coming up. Okay.
You all brought a
It
crowd.
times out, so you have to.
And we could have had church.
Look what you did. Everybody left you behind.
All right.
I'm sorry, Carla.
The first request is from the Cross Timberside Arts Council for $40,500. This covers 3 events: the Michael Martin Murphy event that they're doing in conjunction with the Stephenville Historical Museum, an Art in the Park event that they're adding in conjunction with the Raging Cajun Fest, and it also includes the Fright Fest, which they are doing this month in conjunction with Ranger Junior College. It came forward with a favorable recommendation by the committee for $40,500, so we just need a motion to approve that.
Are you going to make that motion?
I I make a motion that we approve the $40,500 requested by the Cross Timbers Fine Arts Council.
Second.
Carl makes a motion and Nick seconds it. Any discussion? I think most of y'all, everybody was there. Okay, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, Carl. Is that the rest of it?
There's two.
Okay.
All right, second request is from the Stephenville Historical House Museum. It was for $82,677. It includes renovations on the Chapel of the Bosque, which came to $74,177, and historical preservation is a valid use for the hot funds. And the other request was for $8,500 for Bygone Days on the Bosque and the Michael Martin Murphy concert in conjunction with that. So it's a total of $82,677. It also came forward with a positive, I'm searching for the word, a positive recommendation from the committee. I'm abstaining from that, so I'm on that board, and so somebody else needs to make the motion.
Okay. Fair motion.
I move we recommend allocating $82,677 from hotel occupancy funds for the Stephenville Historical Museum.
Second.
Barry makes a motion, Nick seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Same sign opposed. Motion passes. Is that it, Carla?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
Mike.
Mr. Robinson, Parks and Leisure Committee report.
On September 24th, the Parks and Leisure Services Committee met. One item of business to discuss was a proposed contract for professional services from Kimley Horn in relation to the Green Ribbon Grant. This does come to council with a favorable recommendation to approve.
Okay.
And
All
I
right.
can make that in a motion.
There you go. Good. Nick
I'll second.
makes a motion and Mark seconds it. Discussion. Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign opposed. Motion passes. Next item. Is that your total your report? Thank you. Mr. Cook, Nominations Committee.
Mr. Mayor, Council, the nominations committee met to discuss several different things. One of those things was concerning absences of different members from boards and commissions. That was strictly a discussion. Direction was given to staff to update the language to review in the October committee meeting, which will be in October the 15th. We also discussed board description and duties with regard to different boards and commissions. We had some good discussion with regard to that. Direction was provided to staff to draft some language for consideration on October the 15th for that meeting, at which time we'll see how that goes before we come back before the city, the full council. We're to draft, staff is going to draft some language with regard to policy and procedures for review. This has to do with how the different advisory boards will report and to whom. It also has to do with with regard to our policies, and that has to do with the attendance on those. Right now, we've got basically in our ordinances, 2 times and at any given time when you're out, particularly if the board is only meeting 4 times per year. But it also says that those are minimal type meetings, that they can meet more often than that. So we're just looking at that, I think, and we really don't have anything else to report to the council concerning that. We have requested, and the city staff has come through with a meeting with some of the board chairs with regard to orientation and particularly with Robert's Rules of Order and how to handle meetings, so we can be a little bit more effective and efficient in those meetings. So staff has been very good about doing that, and we'll also be planning, and I think we have it budgeted for training sessions for all boards and commissions, not just on open meetings, but on what their duties are on different boards and commissions that we have, which is really important. It's training that seems to have been missed.
Anything else, Mr. Cook?
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mark McClinton, Finance Committee.
Finance Committee met 19 September. I have two items on the agenda. The first item was to look at a proposed contract with Spyglass Group. This is a vendor that would come in and take a look at our telecommunications bills, both current and historic, and they're trying to find ways to save some money. And you don't pay them unless they find it, so it's kind of a no-brainer. They also will look at future bills to try to negotiate better rates for the city. Again, you don't pay them unless they realize those savings. So this came forward with a positive recommendation, and unless there are questions, Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we authorize the contract with Spyglass Group as it's been presented.
I second.
Mark makes a motion and Carla seconds it. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion passes. Anything else,
Mr. Mayor, one other item on our agenda was for discussion, and it was an opportunity for the committee members and council members that were present to kind of lay out some of the things on the horizon, things that are important, things that we need to look at. We haven't got the capital improvement plan together yet, but this was a discussion of that. And Mr. Barnes made a presentation outlining some of the things that he and staff are really interested in and things that they think need to be focused on in the short term. But it was really just an opportunity for everybody on the council to have some input to that process before we make some formal recommendations. And that, there were hors d'oeuvres, dining, dancing at the committee meeting.
There was?
And then we adjourned. Yes, I'm sorry you missed it. That is the end of it.
I had to tell you this, but my grandbaby is a whole lot more important.
That's right.
I got to babysit. Thank you, Mr. Clinton.
Thank you.
Monica, monthly budget report. Everybody's going to hear the same thing. Best financial director we have in Texas. I say that all the time and it embarrasses her, but I really mean that.
This is the financial statements ending August 31st, 2019. Puts us into 11 months of our fiscal year. We are on track. You could switch to the next slide. So our property tax, we received $10,000 in property tax in the month of August, which is $261,000 or 4.5% increase over the funds collected through August of last year. The $6.06 million collected is 100.38% of the $6.04 million that we budgeted. Next slide, please. The sales tax received $700,000 in sales tax in August, which is $159,000 over our target budget through August. There was a large correction in August due to some audit collections. That also explains our lower receipts in May, June, and July. We received $352,000 or 6.28% more than the funds received through August of last year. For next slide, please. For hot funds, we received $459,000 in hotel occupancy tax revenue through August, a 95% increase over the $364,000 received last year. We spent $424,000 in hot funds through August as compared to $344,000 last year. The increase in expenditures is for Moolah Fest and tourism. If you'll go ahead and skip to the next slide. So for our Moolah Fest, I went ahead and did a quick little spreadsheet for our Moolah Fest. I'm going to open it on my end since I can't actually read that too well. Sorry. This, y'all have been asking for the requests on our, where we were at with Moolah Fest, so we went through and did the whole accounting for it. For our revenues, we received a total of $42,275.40. We had 25,300 in sponsorships. That was a lot more than what we originally anticipated. Then we had all the other revenue from the tethered rides and the beer and wine sales. For our expenses, we spent $115,985.23. That have our net revenue under our expenses of $73,709.83. That is what came out of the tourism fund, the hot fund reserve. For personnel, for the police, it cost us $8,556.24. Our fire was $6,053.16, and then the parks and leisure employees were $1,296. For the total personnel cost, which was $15,905.40. That came from our general fund, just in the regular wages that we already have budgeted. And then the total cost was $89,615.23 negative variance. So we had anticipated originally that it was going to cost us originally from $100,000 to $120,000 to put on Moolah Fest. So we ended up net at $89,000, so not too bad. And I think, with Julie's help, we can get a few more sponsorships in to make it a little bit more successful this next year.
And with the Lord's help, we'll have some better weather too.
That's right. That did hurt us on some of our.
We need you to come back by then and pray. That'd be about 8 months from now.
On some of the sales that we had, so.
Did you?
Yep.
I do.
Mark?
But no, go ahead.
Well, and this year, you're planning on the carnival being there for the entire year, which we should get more revenue because our original carnival backed out last year.
Yeah, that was a big problem.
And so we will have a bigger carnival, and I think they're anticipating it to be there the entire week, and we get a percentage of the carnival. And Julie had a lot of comments after the event last year. We didn't realize how awesome it's going to be. I think word of mouth will spread this year. This is an event people need to come to. So I think we'll have a much larger audience participation or much larger attendance. So
I don't know about the rest of the council. I had tons of comments, good comments about it. It was a great event. Yeah, Mark?
So will we put a formal goal on reduction of that against that 89 this year? Will we say that we want to do it for no more than 40? I mean, are we going to try to put a goal on this?
If that is the pleasure of the council, sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Since I can't read what's on the board, would it be possible for us to provide a paper copy for us?
I'll get you one printed and put it in your box.
he doesn't have a box anymore.
I don't have.
Oh, let's don't go there.
We'll get it to
Ladies
you.
and
I
gentlemen.
lost that. That was one of the privileges that got.
I'll get it to Stacy.
Anything else, Monica?
Okay, back to the regular budget review. So for our revenue, the target budget for our operating revenue is $24 million. We received $25 million in revenue through August, which is $962,000 over our budget. This is a result of property taxes, sales and other taxes, building permits. We did get a large building permit and interest income. The target budget for operating expenditures is $19 million. We expended $17.1 million through August, which is $1.9 million under budget. For the operating revenue received last year, it was $23.4 million compared to the $25 million this year, which is a $1.56 million increase. Of course, that's due to our property taxes, sales and other taxes, building permits, service charges, and our investment income. The expenditures last year were $16.4 million as compared to the current year $17.1 million, which is $745,000 increase. Our additional expenditures were our wages, where we added a part-time position to a full-time, the special election, outside professional fees, some maintenance, child safety grants, wages, advertising, and Moolah Fest in the Hot Fund, and wages and economic development programs in CETA. For our new programs, the SCBA bottles and the ground monitor nozzles for the fire department have been purchased, and our master plans are in the utility funds are still in progress. Are there any questions?
Any questions, Monica? Yes, sir.
So back up on sales, 6.25 basically increase over last year. Do you think that's going to hold for for the final one?
I think
it's going to be about
yes.
6%.
Yes.
Probably. And then what was the revenue increase for this year's budget projected? Just the percentage, do you remember? On the, was it 4?
Oh, for the sales tax,
Yes.
yes, we did go up 4%.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Mr. Sandifer, I want you to know something. I've asked the president of your board to be watching tonight, and we're videotaping this for your benefit.
She gave me full permission to do
Is your
any and
evaluation month,
everything.
isn't it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So back to what we are going to do the dining and dancing that Mark referenced earlier, and that'll be good. Thank you guys so much. We've got a few updates for you. The thing that, of course, all you guys remember, and for those in the audience don't get to see, are the things that happen in executive session. Some of the sexy stuff that we do in economic development gets handled over there, and so I look forward to executive session here in just a few moments. That said, I'm going to reference something here that you're going to think is a little silly, Mr. Mayor, because everything I say you think is a little silly, but I'm going to take a little liberty in going into bringing back this day in history. And the reason I'm going to do that, besides Mark's wife, is that I believe that there is something there's actually a lesson here. And part of the lesson is, and as I read these, I'll go back and actually tell you what that lesson is. First of all, on this day in history, 111 years ago, the first Model T was introduced by Henry Ford. In 1908, the asking price was $850. That's changed a little bit. In 1961, Roger Maris breaks Babe Ruth's 34-year-long single-season record for home runs in a single season by hitting his 61st. That would be the mark for another 38 years, although that has been bested 4 times since in the last 20 years. Johnny Carson on this day began his 29-year stint as host of The Tonight Show in 1962. On this day in 1971, Walt Disney World opened in Orlando, Florida. And 11 years later, in 1982, Epcot opened in also Orlando. Now, those are big things. And at the time were probably the biggest things that had happened in their respective eras. Certainly some things have created headlines. But now they're just things that we expect, and they're just things that we've all been a part of or participated in some form or fashion, not necessarily the Model T, but the subsequent things that have occurred in those developments in the car industry. So my point is that there are things that are happening and that have happened and that are happening today that you guys make decisions on that sometimes seem like a very big deal, and down the road are going to seem rote. They're going to seem very easy and very simple to make those kinds of decisions to see how we go forward. So I just always keep that in mind when we're doing our work and we're creating new things, when you're doing your work and creating new ideas and new decisions for what we're trying to put forward for economic development. So I want to thank you for taking that chance on some of the things that we do. A couple of updates for you. A facade grant program. We haven't given an update in a couple of weeks, or a couple of months rather. 2 more of our applicants in this program have completed the necessary steps in securing their assistance from CETA. We have reported on most of the progress in the past, but one is a second location for an existing business. That, of course, is Beans and Frank's. They'll be opening very shortly on West Washington. The other is a downtown landmark on the corner of Washington and Graham. You'll notice the return of second-story windows to the building, which has been remodeled many times, but each time that remodel has taken place, it's actually gotten it further away from its original intent. So it's starting to kind of look a little bit more like the building we remember. We'll continue to see progress on this and other buildings in our community, although we will be reviewing all of our requests and our strategy towards this effort in the months to come, because each year is a little bit different than the past. As an aside, we're working with the county on another landmark building in our community, and we will be reporting on that as time allows and as there are actual steps taken on that particular building. Many of you know what I'm talking about. New Markets tax credits is another thing that we have put forth, and is another tool in our tool belt or toolkit. It's an important tool that we have been utilizing. It'll be a major piece. In fact, we'll report on some of it in executive session. It's a major piece of a project going on right now that will basically be the turning point into a development of something that's going to spark a new development in an area. But it's something that our office does handle. If you hear people that are in need, we can give a better description of what New Markets tax credits are and how that can assist a business in certain areas of our community and for certain reasons. It's not eligible to everybody. The next thing I want to talk about is industry recruitment. We've been doing a lot of commercial and retail recruitment, as you well know, and that's well documented right now, the efforts that are going forth in that area. but there's still the effort of industry recruitment. When I first got here about 15 or 16 months ago, we thought that was going to be the primary reason for our existence, and realized that there were some hurdles in the way for industry recruitment. Some of those hurdles are being naturally jumped over, and I think right now we're in the position to do some of that. We've contracted with a company, Site Location Partnership, that will be helping us with site selection and so forth. Specifically, it'll involve everything from research and analysis of targeted companies through their NAICS codes, geographic location, number of employees needed, annual revenue, credit rating, facility needs, and other relevant trigger events that will help us to determine what's a good fit for our area, not just, don't just go out there and reach for somebody and hope they come to our area. It's a very strategic effort and something that I look forward to reporting on. Now, I do want to kind of forewarn you, when you get into industry recruitment, we've been a little spoiled on some of this retail piece, that it's gone a little bit faster than it does in most towns. The industry piece does not necessarily go that fast. It's a slow process, and it's something that you'll hear more and more of as we get into executive session, because those things are under NDAs and so forth. But we've spoiled you a little bit. We'll still try to spoil you with the industry piece, but just wanted to let you know those are 2 and 3 year processes. Lastly, this is something I'm kind of excited about. Many of you know about this, but I think publicly it'll be something that we can talk about, and that is that we've got a new initiative this year that'll take place immediately. As per Texas Local Government Code, addressing Type B organizations such as ours, and in alignment with the proposition that led to CETA's creation. We can dedicate a portion of our funding to the enhancement of public spaces should the budget allow. As you all know, in our budget, we put forth some money to help with a community project. Heretofore, we had not had budgeted funds available, so this will be the first time we were able to do something like this. But it's something that I believe that every citizen and every visitor will be able to enjoy, and that is that in collaboration with the Tourism Board, who will provide the labor and some of the strategy for this, we'll be bringing back Christmas lights to our downtown area. We're not sure ultimately what it'll look like. We have a pretty good idea. Again, we're working with the Tourism Board and some of their folks in developing that strategy. But as we all know, for years and years and years, dating back to when Mr. Cook was at the chamber years ago, lights were here. When I was here last time, lights were here, and we worked on ways to get them here, and now it's time for us to get them back. I think it's something that we've been missing. So it'll be kind of fun and exciting. We'll see how that looks in the next few months. Since it's already October, this will go pretty quickly, and I look forward to your input on that as well. Not to me, but to other people. I'm not really looking forward to your input on it, but we know that it's coming. So, but no, this will be a good thing. In all seriousness, bringing back lights on the area. Is the light itself going to draw people in? I don't know, but what happens is you have to satisfy those that are coming in. To come into Stephenville, Texas, and not have Christmas lights downtown, it's a little bit of a travesty. So we're going to bring those back, and I'm excited about doing that. So the rest of our report comes in executive session. I look forward to reporting on that. Any other questions?
Any questions, Mr. Sanford?
I just ask, so you didn't mention anything. Is there a potential that CETA will be engaged with a marketing research firm anytime soon?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ms. Sanford. Okay, move on to this consent agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Carl makes the motion, Mark seconds it. Proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Consent agenda is approved. Comments by city manager.
Sundown on the Square is Saturday, October 12th. Excuse me. Council meetings are October 15th. The November regular scheduled council meeting is November the 5th. And applications for boards and commissions are due Friday, November 1st.
Anything else? Councilmember Clinton.
This Saturday, I'm assuming, farmers market will be on the plaza. Let's go out and support the downtown merchants. Speaking of the downtown merchants, what a great event they supported this and put on this past Saturday in conjunction with the rodeo parade that went on. It's just fantastic. The chuck wagon thing was awesome. Kids Zone was cool. Really appreciate the downtown merchants and everything they're trying to do for the downtown area. Bygone days on the Bosque, 2 weeks out on Saturday morning. That is a fun event, and followed up by Sundown on the Square. That is just almost a can't miss.
You're not the Sunday this year.
Oh, they're not?
That's okay, Ms. Clinton, you continue talking
My
about it if you want.
bad. Well, when Bygone Days on the Bosque comes, be there.
Be there.
When Sundown on the Square comes, be there. The
It's the 19th.
19th. Okay. That's just clear as mud. Thanks for everybody listening. That's all I got, sir.
There were so many events there's so many events in October. I had to make a list, and I realized I left one off. One of my favorite events in Stephenville is Dinner in the Stacks at Tarleton, and that's this Saturday night. I left it off, but I don't think it's too late to get tickets. I think you can Google that tomorrow and get tickets. It's an awesome event. They do it twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. So that's Dinner in the Stacks at the library at Tarleton. Sundown on the Square is the 12th. The 19th, the week later, is Bygone Days on the Bosque. And in conjunction with Bygone Days this year, there will be a concert, actually 2 concerts by Michael Martin Murphy, a Saturday night concert and a Sunday afternoon private concert for VIP ticket holders. So if you'd like to buy VIP tickets, they're for sale. And that is co-sponsored by the museum and by Cross Timbers Fine Arts. Then on October 25th and 26th, the Fine Arts Group is having a Fright Fest Film Festival in conjunction with Ranger Junior College, so you might check that out the weekend before Halloween. The weekend after Halloween, the museum, in conjunction with the Tarleton Library, the Friends of Tarleton Library, has their annual Spirits of Erath West End Cemetery Walk. That's another of my favorite events. And it's at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon at the West End Cemetery. It's a fun event. You meet some colorful characters from Stephenville's history, so plan on coming out. If it's a pretty day, it's a nice day to be out. And not to be missed, October 19th is Tarleton Homecoming, and we have the homecoming parade on October 19th. So a busy October for us.
Nick? Ready?
Just real quick, I'm sure most of y'all saw by now, Tarleton, of course, announcing to go to Division I, and I guess it's a good big announcement, but I'll tell you the important part for the city, for all of us in this room, is that's the effect it's going to have on all of us, that we're going to have to get more involved. I don't know how much experience involvement y'all have had in Division I communities, but it really is not just what the university does, but it's what we do as a community, as a region-wide, what we do as well. So we're really going to have to expand our footprint, support the university, and let that grow, because the what we can see as a community is going to be tremendous return on that investment. I mean, more than we've ever seen before. So 5 years from now, it really changed our community, but it's going to take a whole community to get behind it and really push it.
Thanks, sir.
One more event, it's a new event we can talk about, is Friday night, this Friday night, is Habitat for Humanity's Voice for Habitat singing competition at Twisted J. And I believe there are some general admission tickets still left for that. I think they're $35. So this will be the first year for that event, and it looks like it's, I've had a sneak peek at some of the singers. They're pretty good. I think there's 12, I think. So go out and enjoy that. And the other thing I would say is it was good to see a full room tonight. It's kind of thinned out now, but I encourage citizens to continue to be active. And one way you can do that is by serving on a board or a citizen board or commission. And those, as Mr. Barnes said, those applications are due November 1st, and you can find those on the city's website.
Alan? Gerald?
One other event is coming up Saturday. I think it's a color run, and it's put on by the Stephenville Education Foundation. So that might be something you'd want to put on. It's a little different. It's a lot of fun to go down and see that. There's several color runs, but this is really interesting, and it's down at the city park. And it's to raise money for the Education Foundation in Stephenville. So hopefully you'll come out and take a look at that. Other thing, to go off what Councilman Pendleton said, Jeff was talking about things happen, and they're big deals at the time, and then later on we'll say, well, yeah, that's a no-brainer. It was really a great thing to do, and all that kind of stuff. This is a big thing with regard to Tarleton going to Division I. It really is. It not only puts Tarleton on the map, it has the same effect on Stephenville in the future. All of a sudden, you get coverage. You're mentioned in the sports media. You're mentioned in TV across the country and things like that when it happens. And how we handle that and what we do with it is going to kind of set the tone for both Tarleton and Stephenville, and the development that will be influenced by this type of event is something that we have got to think through and we've got to deal with, and hopefully this community will deal with it appropriately and correctly, and will be really a positive thing for us. I know one thing that was really positive, and that was going to Parents Weekend at Tarleton, and being absolutely amazed after all these years and seeing a stadium full on both sides and people standing up and everything, and seeing over 10,000 people there. It was just literally amazing. That's something we haven't seen before to any Tarleton game. So that was really kind of neat. Brandon's on it.
I didn't have an event until Nick texted me, so I'll make sure I plug his event here. The Erath County and City of Stephenville 2019 free recycling event is Saturday, October the 5th, at the Service Center, 1201 Glen Rose Road in Stephenville, 9 to 1, or when the truck fills. So take your tires, paint, light bulbs, gasoline, Freon. That's what you don't take. But anything else they'll take.
Stacy, back up the tape on that one.
That's terribly done, Nick. It's got giant circles with lines through it saying it, and I read it anyway. But anyway, so take your stuff there. It's a great event. It's a no-brainer. And I just second what some of these guys have said about well, I've got another event I'd like to mention. The Lutheran German Supper is this Saturday. Thank you, everybody watching that's texting about events. That event's this Saturday as well. But I think the Tarleton news is great news for this city. I think it's just it's a great time to live in Stephenville. There's a lot of exciting things that are coming, a lot of things that people have groaned and moaned about for a long time. You're about to see some fruits of the labor on that, and buckle up and get ready, because I think it's going to be an exciting, a good time in Stephenville. So.
I don't often say something at this time, but I want to make a comment about this council. The committees, each of these folks here are committee chairs. They serve on multiple committees. And I want everybody out there to know, watching TV, here in the room, whatever, they spend lots and lots of time. They come well prepared, they study, and I just want to say thank you to all of you and the work that you've done. It makes this job a whole lot easier because of the work that y'all do, so thank y'all. All right, in compliance with the provision of the Texas Open Meetings Laws of Chapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes, annotated in accordance with Section 551.071, consultation with an attorney, and 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. Project CS and Project Blue, we will be back. Thank you for coming. Good luck on your trip. I'll be in prayer for you. You'll keep me updated.